Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. I'm back with another Tower of God full. Spoilers. Season 2, Episode 4. Warning has been issued. Spoilers inbound. Okay, so Season 2 kicks off really strong, right? And the pacing isn't the best, and I've been complaining about it non-stop because I'm really worried about where we're about to end off. If we don't finish the workshop battle in the season, I am terrified for what this is going to be when we start moving up the tower and how many seasons they plan. And in case people don't understand it, let's put it this way. From season 1 to now has been many years. Not 2, not 3, most probably, okay, it could be 3 or 4 years, but it's somewhere in that range. Between 2 to 4 years is how long it took for the second season to come out. If this season doesn't live up to the hype and it falls short, it's going to slow down the progress of this year. We might never get another season, which I'm hoping we get another season. And season 2 isn't really the biggest thing that they have right now, because we're moving on into the season and there's a lot to go. We know there's still the Tower of Zigna, the Hand of Arlen, the workshop battle ticket race. We know there's the workshop battle eliminations. We know that there's the workshop battle party. We know there's the workshop battle finale. We know there's the workshop battle second fight, Balm vs. Fug. We know that there's the whole escaping to Wulayuk song in the introduction of the Hell Train right at the end of the workshop battle. Now, thinking about all of this here, this sounds like a lot, but if you just list it out in your hands, that's about 9. These are what can form whole episodes on their own. And the Flower of Zigna is going to be a very key moment. A lot of people are fans of Yurik. Ironically enough, he has a lot of people who like him. And if they mess up his introduction, they can ruin quite a bit of the fan base for the show. And, that can ruin a show, and I don't want to see it ruined. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm worried. And then moving on from there, we obviously get the Hell Train. And you know what? Let's say that they fail to complete this part. Then in the next season, they're going to get us onto Hell Train Part 1, the first station. They're going to get us all the way to the end of the Wooden Horse, most probably. If they can't get us to the Wooden Horse, then they're going to end up just at the first station. Then the second season will start with the Wooden Horse all the way into the Slayer competition. Most probably can't complete the whole Slayer competition in a season. And then we're going to have the Hell Train, the next arcs within it. And that's going to be a whole crazy section when they're doing the middle section. Then we're going to have the Floor of Death. Then we're going to have, as I said, the Hidden Floor. Then the last station. You can see there's so much, and those are whole seasons on their own. So yeah, that's what I'm really stressed about. So let's get back to this episode and let's cut this up. So one thing to note about regulars and rankers, before we even go into the crazy discussion that's starting, why it was such a big shock that a regular managed to tie with a ranker, right? A regular being able to hurt a ranker is ridiculous in itself. It is unbelievable that they're capable of doing it. That would be ridiculous. A regular capable of standing toe-to-toe with a ranker, well, that is well beyond the sneak hit actually even leaving a scratch on somebody's face. That is how ridiculous that is of a feat in terms of power. Okay, so let's go with the actual feat of rankers. Rankers are very powerful beings. I estimated it earlier at around 1,296 times that of a regular individual, and yes, I know that is a ridiculous figure to be thinking about. So yeah, you're looking at those kinds of figures just to put them on the record, and yeah, that's kind of crazy. So that is what we're expecting from a ranker, to be about 1,200 times the power of the regulars, and that is on the 20th floor where Balm was. And the next thing about that is that difference isn't something that you wouldn't notice. Someone 10 times stronger than you won't even budge when you fight them. Sometimes someone 100 times stronger than you can't even hurt them with the weapon. They're most probably just gonna stand there and take everything you have. And someone who's 1,000 times stronger than you, they can sneeze on you and finish you off. And we know that Mule Love actually had to put in some effort to keep Balm from easily overpowering him. If he didn't fight back, Balm would have finished him. If he just stood still and took hits from Balm, he would have been finished. And we know that Balm managed to push him back and break his defenses. So yeah, Balm is really ridiculous. He's thousands of times stronger than his fellow regulars. And that's because Balm is in that same league as the ranker. If he is the weakest of all rankers, which I doubt he is, then that is where Balm would stand. But if he is stronger than the weakest of all rankers, at least 2 times stronger than the weakest, then we're talking about somebody who is 2,000 or 10,000 times that of a regular. And Balm is at that type of a level. That is one of the things you have to take into consideration with that whole fight. Moving on to the next part. So we then get the Dan Edan story. And this is one of the spoilers that was given to us. It's kind of like remember this, it's going to become important. The sweet fish is actually an important kind of fish. It's actually capable of holding power for an individual. It's also a compression user, so it can actually make itself smaller. So we've seen that they've done this here later on in the series, and we know that Dan is capable of catching them. This is important to note because if Enan can catch this really dangerous and hard to catch creature, if he caught one and somebody is actually using it, we know the types of things that Kun has used it for. He managed to absorb one into his body, and it's capable of holding a power for him, and that power has been slowly eating away at Kun. Okay, so yeah, that is the sweet fish. That's exactly what Kun's resurrection power is based around. The flame, the healing flame that he keeps using, that's what it's used for. That's what it's being held by, the sweet fish inside his blood. The next thing to note about all of these crazy things is Dan and how powerful he is. Shinsu gets heavier by the level of the tower. On the 20th floor, it's so heavy that a regular person will start bleeding from their mouth, nose, and eyes just from the pressure. That is ridiculous, just for you to know. Even if you were to go deep under the ocean, you're talking about pressures that are 10 to 20,000 psi. Sorry, not 20,000, 2 or 3,000 ps. So somewhere in that region. I'm not 100% sure on this here. It's quite a heavy hit. It's like 80 or 90 atmospheres basically that is suffering under. And that is what the 20th floor is like. So it really does weigh them down. It slows them down. And in order for the regulars to use the powers they've learned on the previous floor, they use the Shinsu enhancement they learned to weigh themselves up, and then they have to learn to expand that power. And by pushing their bodies in this heavy density, they learn to cut through these heavier places. And eventually they become stronger by overcoming that pressure. It's like Dragon Ball Z's weight training. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to use Dragon Ball Z as a reference for power scaling. So Dan being able to move that fast past the 20th floor makes him ridiculous. That he can't be caught on a lighthouse. And a lighthouse is recording the area at a very fast speed. Let's say that they're doing 60 frames per second. That means that he moves faster than an entire frame. And let's say that they can record 10 meters at a time to make it slow. That means he moves faster than 10 meters in 1/60th of a second. Times it by 60, 10 meters times 60, that will give me 600 meters a second. Not the fastest of all fastest, but yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Makes him way too quick to catch. That's if he's moving at 60, which I doubt he is. He's probably moving faster, and he's been able to keep that feat up since he started. So yeah, this is a crazy, dedicated, well-honed, powerful individual. So yeah, keep an eye on that. It's going to be important. Then moving on from this here, we then get the whole catching scene and how Kun plays three-dimensional chess, Kun most definitely could have caught Dan, right? Even as fast as he is, Kun could have caught him in that small area. He could have done it. The only reason why he had Dan caught was to show Dan that he's thinking 5 steps ahead of him. He wants to show him a reason why he should be loyal to Kun, because Kun is way too smart for you to outsmart. He wanted them to know that. And you can't try to get away, because if Kun says something, it could be true, it could be partially true, it could be a complete lie, it could be a partial lie, and he doesn't want them to be able to take their chance once he's gotten his ideal teammates. The next thing is with the whole story with Novik and Dan, when they go through the whole story and they talk about the top 10 E-rank regulars. The top 10 E-rank regulars are quite a crazy bunch. We know 6 of the possibilities in there. That's Anak and Rossi, Hats, Novik, Ran, and Bam. Those are 5 that we know of, and then we know there's going to be Mad Dog, we know there's going to be Cheng, we know there's going to be Quattro Blitz. I'm forgetting who the 10th member is of those top 10 E-rank regulars, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Who was the other top 10 E-rank regular who was on that list? I think it was Refleo. But yeah, those are the top 10 E-rank regulars. We know they're going to play a part in the workshop battle. As I said, this is spoilers, so if you're sitting here and you're listening to this and you're now offended that I spoiled it for you, what were you doing on a spoiler? So yeah, those are the top 10 E-rank regulars, and now we know how powerful the team that Kun has assembled is. Just having 2 out of the top 10 makes you one of the top 10 teams in the tower, because just having one of them means that you're the top of the top, and when you fight against another top 10, it's quite crazy. Moving on to the next piece from here. The next thing which shows up, which is really important to remember, is sorry about that, just had a little bit of a yawn. The next thing which happens is we transfer back to Bam's team. Now, Bam's team is quite the weird bunch. For anybody who read the comics, you'd know that there's a little bit of missing content, and that's the motivation of the individuals to choose a place. Wagner wants a cheap place near the outskirts so he can eat good food. Yuva wants a nice, expensive place that's classy and stylish. Arc Raptor wants to find a nice school district so that Misen can go to school. And the reason for this is when you're an E-rank regular, you will stay on a floor until you've passed into the D-rank level. Then you're going to move your house to the D-rank floors, and you're going to travel up and down between your D-rank residence and wherever you're taking the floor, because once you have passed, you can just pass through the floors whenever you want to. So that is the reason why they're holding these. And remember what I said about the density of the floors. The higher up you go, the heavier the density gets. So if you can acclimate at a lower level and then go up a few floors, train on the floor, train, get up higher, that's the way to go. You want to do it slowly. You want to acclimate, you want to get super fast and super strong on the lower level, go up to a higher level and try to keep your pace. Then when you change your ranking, because those densities are within the rank, then you go up to D class. Then when you finish D class, you go into C class. And obviously we've seen B class and C class regulars fighting, and yeah, they get quite ridiculous because their power is quite tremendous, and generally they behave like normal people. That's because that's what happens to you when you're under so much of pressure. Bam is irregular because he has Shinsu resistance, so he doesn't really feel that pressure like everyone else. However, it does drain your energy a little bit faster, so their energy reserves go up faster and their bodies adapt much faster to those floors. So while they can use those ridiculous strength and speed feats that they have from previous floors, it allows their energy reserves to grow much faster, and they grow at a much quicker rate in that sense than everyone else, because their body doesn't have to acclimate to the higher densities. Whew, finally got all of that out. So yeah, that is why people buy residence on a lower floor and then climb up slowly. And then sometimes they'll go towards a higher floor just before they classing out from, say for example, E into D rank, so that they can get ready for that heavy jump that's coming up. which makes sense once again because of the heaviness of the Shinsu. So moving on, we now have the whole story with Yua. Yua went to one of her family members and she was talking about the fact that she's on this floor. Her family member then gives her the lowdown that she needs to be careful for the Slayer candidate and his teammates because they're bloodthirsty hooligans. Now, this statement was made to her not knowing that she's part of that team, and Yua is hiding this fact because she doesn't want to be known as the person climbing up with a Slayer, because that's bad enough as it is. So when she returns home, they ask her how did her meeting go. She said, yeah, it was fine, but she's hiding the fact that she actually likes being on this team and the fact that she's in love with Palm, which is something that you can get the hint of that she's playing Tsundere basically. And yeah, it becomes more and more obvious as the story goes along. So anyway, we find out that she's useless at all tasks, and this is actually a major blow to her ego. She got all the way to the 20th floor on her own strength, just being a 10th grade family member. She had ridiculous power, but she couldn't stay on a team because she was a liability, right? You need to remember that. The reason why she's alone is because she's a liability, not because she's weak. The reason she's a liability is she doesn't have control over her powers. And you can imagine it like this here. Imagine having a bomb without a timer. When you set it off, you don't know when it's going off. It can blow immediately, it can blow in 10 minutes. And that's the big problem with it. When it goes, it could hurt you as well. So you don't want it on your team. That is exactly what happens with Yua. Moving on to the next part of this whole story. From Yua, we get to the next thing, which is when she follows Balm. Now, Balm actually pays for a tracking service for Yua to track him, and he had to consent to it for it to be placed on his pocket, so she can trace his pocket wherever. This is actually a key plot that is actually going to come in later. I don't know if they flushed it out enough in that episode. I'm going to re-watch it after this year, and I think they didn't explain that she had it on him and that it was a willful thing and that it was following his pocket. Because if they said that there's a tracking service and it's on Balm, then that's all there is. And if it was just said where he was, then it's not throwing everything into consideration. It's going to leave plot holes for the Hand of Alan, which is part of the season, guaranteed. There's no way that the Flower of Zigna is going to take more than an episode or two. Okay, moving on from there, we finally get the whole fake FUG member story going around acting as jovial Grace, and then we meet up with Wari Yun. Now, all of this ends at this point, so I'm not really going to discuss this. I'm going to wait for the next episode to actually go in detail to what's going on at that scene. Obviously, you all know this is where we get Jin Sang Ha. And yeah, he's one of my favorite characters. So yeah, we're going to get to meet him. We're going to get the whole meeting of the team with him. And we're going to get the whole brutal treatment of Yua, where he just knocks her out. And I hope that he does it, because if he doesn't do it, it's going to kind of make him seem more sympathetic than he needs to be. But yeah, that's the whole thing. So yeah, catch you all in the next one. Have a good day.